Now that we've got the vehicle up in the air, we're going to throw some jack stands under it just to support that axle. That way when we take these track bar bolt out, we won't have any bind on it. Now you can pull those bolts out on the ground and have the same effect, or you can do it up in the air and just take some pressure off it with the jacks. After we've done that, we're going to go around and loosen every one of those control arm bolts, upper and lower. That'll let that axle have some good swing to it. Now we're going to go through and remove anything that'll hinder that axle from dropping. The brake line and the shock. With the shock removed, we can now lower the axle down far enough to give us enough clearance to get that spring out. The last thing that'll really limit our down travel is that sway bar link. Go ahead and remove that link. We're going to want to save that because we're going to use that link up on the front. Just take a look around and make sure you don't have any of your ABS lines that might get stretched, breather tubes, anything else like that that might get damaged when we lower the axle. First thing we'll need to do is to finish taking that rear shock right off. So we'll loosen the two upper bolts. And we'll just go ahead and set that shock anywhere for now. Entry-level kits will include a rear frame side track bar bracket. This bracket is used to center the axle under the Jeep. Page 15 of the instructions provides you with a template for that rear track bar bracket. Just cut it out, lay it up against the original track bar. You can even put the bolt through it to help center it. Now Ben actually cut that hole out. That's not really necessary if you don't want to. You can use the crosshairs in it to give you a good spot to center punch. Use a 3/8 drill bit and drill a hole through the original track bar bracket. Now we're ready to install the new drop bracket. Using a 14mm bolt, the washer and nut provided. There's also a sleeve that came in the kit. That sleeve is used to prevent that bracket from crushing when we tighten it up. Let's install the rear coil springs. The install on that rear coil spring is as easy as setting the factory eye slider back on top of it and sliding it up into position. We use our jack stand to put a little pressure on the spring just to hold it into place. Next, our kit provides you with a retainer plate that goes on the bottom just to keep that spring into position. It also gives you a small wrench, and that wrench is used to come from underneath the mount to hold that nut. So as you tighten down the bolt from the top, you have a tool to hold that nut in position. Go ahead and tighten that up. That's pretty much all it takes to put that spring in. The spring's in place. It's a good time to put the rear shocks in. The shocks reinstall the same way your original shocks came out. Use a 16mm socket on the upper bolts, and you might as well tighten those right up, get those done. We will, however, leave that lower bolt loose. That way that shock can be moved out of the way so that when it comes time to put our track bar bracket on, we can do it more easily. The last component we have to install is that rear sway bar link. Now remember, these are the new sway bar links that came with the kit. We're going to use our existing ones and put those up on the front. We'll have to install the grease zerks. Just tighten them up with a 5/16. Make sure you put it on so that you can have access to those grease fittings when it comes time to grease it. So you'll have those facing the rear. We're going to install the link on the inside of the bracket. Now the lower bolt, we're going to use the factory bolt that was with the original kit. Remember, on the front there was a stud, so we had to replace it with a new bolt on the top. We're going to install that bolt facing the inside. We have the head of the bolt to the outside so that it won't rub on the tire. Go ahead and torque those up and we're ready to go. Next up is the rear lower bump stops. They're pretty easy to install. We're just going to use the existing holes in the pad, and we're going to put that extended portion of that bump stop facing the front of the Jeep. Before you tighten either one of the bolts, make sure that you start both of the nuts. Once you've got the nuts started, use a 1/2-inch end wrench and tighten them up. If your kit includes the axle side track bar bracket, let's go ahead and install it. Our axle track bar bracket will straddle the existing bracket. Now, the kit provides us with a sleeve that'll slide up in between the existing bracket and our new bracket, and so that when we tighten it up, it doesn't crush anything. It's just a crush sleeve. Now, down on the brace arm of it, we use the existing bolt from our control arm. We'll want to leave all the bolts loose until we've got everything started. When we install our U-bolt, we use the washers and provided nuts. When we tighten them, we want to make sure that we do it equally. With everything started, we can go around and tighten up all the bolts. Again, we want to make sure that we leave the one on the control arm loose. We'll tighten that once we have it on ride height on the ground. With our bracket on and all tightened up, we can put on our original track bar. We'll want to just start the bolts and leave them loose until we get it on the ground. Again, we want to tighten all of our bushings when it's at ride height. With our track bar in place, we can finish installing our shock. Let's just tighten up the bottom bolt. We've already got our brake line loose from the frame, so let's go ahead and put our brake line extension brackets on. This bracket will index and bolt right up to the existing bracket that came on your brake line, 10mm bolt. So go ahead and reinstall the factory bolt into that upper part of our bracket and secure it to the frame. Let's start with the front install. We've already got our track bar bolt out, and we've already loosened our control arm bolts, both at the axle and at the frame side, upper and lower. So we can go ahead and start removing anything that will hinder the down travel of that axle. Things like our breather tube, even our ABS lines, the shocks, the sway bar links, anything that'll stop it from coming down. We'll loosen all those up. Now we can get enough travel to pull the spring out. First thing we'll need to do is to finish taking the shock right off. We've already got the lower bolt out of the way, so all we need to do is undo that upper nut. Now if the shock spins on you, they cleverly supplied us with a little spot where you can slide an end wrench on there to hold that shock from spinning while you undo that upper bolt. We can go ahead and grab our bump stop extension. Go ahead and pull out the existing factory bump stop, apply a little grease on there. Pushing in the bump stop adapter is a little more work. Some people can push them in by hand, but very few. Ben just uses the axle as a press and pushes that bump stop into position. Grab the front coil springs and let's install those. Our coil spring will be installed with the tight wrap to the top. With the additional bump stop adapter in place, we may need to lower the axle down just a little more to get that spring into position. Ben's already done that and it goes in easily. Let's install the front shocks. The shocks are going to provide us with a new washer and also new bushings. The bushings you'll see have a larger and a smaller diameter extrusion on them. Put the larger one up, that'll index into your existing mount hole. And then use that lower bolt to hold it into position for us while we start that upper nut. There's actually a torque spec on that upper shock bolt. It's 20 foot-pounds. Reality is you're just going to crush it down until you see that bushing just start to crush. We're now ready to finish removing that front sway bar link. Now remember, we saved that rear sway bar link because it's a little bit longer. We're going to put it up onto the front. It'll mount the same way the original one did. When we install that front sway bar link, it's a little tricky. We want to put the links on the outside of the sway bar end and on the inside of the axle mount. Now that we've got everything in place, we're ready to lower the Jeep down and go ahead and tighten up all of our control arms and our track bars. There's really no adjustment necessary with this kit. Worst case is you'll need to straighten the steering wheel. That's easily done by using the adjusting sleeve on the drag link. Just loosen it up, straighten the wheel, tighten it back up, and you're good to go.